What's going on YouTube? We're back here with another video. In today's video, I want to walk you through things you should be looking for if you had just bought or when buying your Ford Lightning. If you didn't see my last video, we just picked up this Ford Lightning. Just picked it up, been driving it all week. It is so nice to be back in the game, guys. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for plenty of Lightning content. Of course, I got the OG red truck of the channel. I've been making videos of this truck for, the last decade or longer. I think it's been actually 12 years, but a long time I've had this truck on the channel, and we just picked up this new Black Beauty. Figured why not make a video of going over the truck we just bought. So let's go ahead and jump into this, guys. Okay, yeah, so like I said, we just picked up this 2000 Lightning. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. It is on the channel. We did a full reveal video going over the truck, but let's go ahead and get into what you should be looking for when you just bought your Lightning or when buying your first Lightning. So first thing I would do is look at the Carfax, go over any paperwork, make sure it's a clean title, and check the VIN number. If they don't have a Carfax or any of the paperwork associated, there is a way to decode the VIN to make sure it is a true Lightning. I've seen this on the forums a lot, guys asking, how do I know if my truck is legit? How do I know if it is a real Lightning? Well, there's a really easy way to tell. The 8th digit of the VIN, so first you'll have 2 FTZ or 2 FTR, depending on the year and color of the truck. It should be one or the other, followed by an F07, and then the 8th digit is what's mattered. It should be a 3. It will always be a 3. 3 is the engine code for a supercharged 5.4, and it will only have a 3 if it is a supercharged 5.4. So if you don't have 2 FTZ or 2 FTR F07 3 in the 8th spot of the VIN, it is not a true Lightning. It will have a 3 in that 8th digit spot. So that's a really easy way to check to see if it is a true Lightning. So definitely want to check that. Also, it helps to, ask for the Carfax, ask for any documentation on the truck, if they have any maintenance records, etc. So I would just say paperwork. Check the paperwork of the truck. Make sure it is legit and everything was done correctly. Is a real Lightning. Check the VIN yourself. Make sure it has that 3, and you are good to go. You have a real Lightning. So there is a spot on the dash with the VIN right here. It'll be on the title, and run a Carfax on it. I think it's like, handful of dollars. It's worth it. Just pay, have the Carfax done, and make sure it is legit. No major accidents, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and move on to number 2. And that would be structural integrity and rust. Now, it's pretty obvious. Get underneath, make sure the frame is straight, make sure there's not a bunch of rust on it. But there are some specific spots on these trucks that are notorious for it. You want to check the cab corners, pop the door open, check the corners here, the corners up here, the rocker panel. It's very notorious for rusting. The bed sides should not rust because those are fiberglass. The fenders should be aluminum, also shouldn't be rusty. So you want to check the cab corners inside the door and the rocker panels, get underneath the truck, and let's use this truck as an example for this, because the most notorious spot is the radiator core support. You want to check where the radiator sits. You'll see this core support here. These are notorious for rusting, and it's obviously, it's what holds your radiator up, so pretty important. So you want to check stuff like that. You can see I even have a little surface rust on, the frame and where the engine sits and stuff. That's not a real big deal. I wouldn't worry too much about surface rust. You'll just want to make sure the core support's clean, cab corners, rocker panels, stuff like that. It's nice and clean, and the structural integrity is there. Just check the structural integrity of the truck and make sure the rust isn't too concerning. Check the engine mounts. Engine mounts are there and there. And then there's one back by the tranny for the tranny. Make sure the mounts do not look like they have been tampered with, because if they have, that means that most likely the engine has been swapped out at some point or another. So get a flashlight, look down in there, make sure the engine mounts look, legit. Make sure they don't look like they've been tampered with or modified or anything like that. because that would tell me that the engine at some point has been pulled. Although on a 20-year-old truck, I kind of don't doubt that, but it does give you something to ask about. Say, hey, have you ever had this engine out? Is this rebuilt, etc.? Then you can go further into that, but just looking at the engine mount will tell you a lot. So structural integrity, rust, engine mounts, stuff like that. Make sure that's all solid. That's number 2. All right, so let's move on to number 3, and that is going to be wiring and vacuum lines. The most critical and important thing to check is this brake booster here. The brake booster is notorious on these 10th gen trucks. That's Lightnings. Even my FX4 out there, if you guys can see it, it's kind of focusing, but I got a 10th gen FX4. All of these 10th gen F150s are notorious for catching on fire and burning down. I'm sure you've seen it at some point over the years, and that is because of these brake boosters right here. There's a switch. You want to make sure that it has the recall done, and to tell, it's kind of hard to tell on this truck because it's like tucked in there. This truck's a little more open so you can see it. You'll see a harness, like a pigtail that's attached to it with this blue tag. Do you see that? And you see how you can see the original harness, and there's an additional harness plugged into it with a blue pigtail. That means the recall has been done. Like I said, this one has also been done. You can see the little blue tag, and it's got an extra harness zip tied to it. It's just harder to get to because it's all tucked in there. But make sure that recall has been done and addressed, because if not, your truck will burn to the ground. So make sure you see the extra harness there. There should be an inline fuse. You can see it right there. And that means the recall has been done. Now, if it has not been done, my black truck out there never had the recall done. It's been in my family forever. They had no idea what to do. They just didn't know about it. I got the truck, took it over, found out the recall has not been done, does not have the extra harness, has the original switch. So what I did, just unplug it. You can do that for now. I still suggest replacing the switch with the harness. There is a recall you can do to fix that, and it saves your truck from burning down. So if you notice that has not been done, you do not see the extra harness, unplug that for now. You will not have cruise control, but that's fine. I'd rather not have cruise control and my truck not burn down to the ground. Very important. So that'd be the first thing I check with wiring or anything like that. Other than that, just make sure everything's in its place. Everything's connected. There's no loose ends. Everything goes somewhere. Just, you know, typical stuff. Everything's plugged in. Stuff like that. I'll tell you a funny story. When I first got this truck, drove it home. Made the 4-hour drive, everything went good. Came home, heard a weird noise. Sounded like a loud hissing in the engine bay. Don't know what that could be. Looking around, didn't really see anything that caught my eye at first. Driving around a little bit, check engine light comes on, I'm going, oh crap, not now, not already. Already having issues. Come home, look into it further. Come to find out, this PCV hose right here that goes to my catch can, to the PCV valve, popped off of the PCV valve. It was super loose. The rubber was just super soft, and there was no clamp on it. So, you know, it just came loose, came undone, and caused a huge vacuum leak, of course. So check around for hoses that feel soft. Just kind of give them a little feel, you know, grab them a little bit, make sure they're not too soft. Check connections. Like I said, it was this connection here, so I just went ahead and replaced the hose, put a nice clamp down there. Now everything's nice and tight. Just give the hoses a little squeeze, make sure they're not overly soft, make sure everything's plugged in. Just generalized stuff at that point, honestly. The biggest concern is that brake booster. You will catch your truck on fire, it will burn to the ground. If you don't have that extra harness, the recall completed, just unplug it. But that is it for number 3. So moving on to number 4, that's going to be all of your fluids. A lot of this is general stuff. Just make sure this is topped off. This is brake fluid, power steering fluid. You will check your oil. The dipstick for the oil is right down there. You can see it right here. Check your oil, make sure it is nice and topped off. Make sure it doesn't have a bunch of bubbles in it or doesn't look milky. Coolant, make sure your engine coolant is nice and full in between the cold fill line. And we got washer fluid. I don't use it, so check it if you want to, but not really critical. Now, That brings us to our intercooler fluid. This is the intercooler tank, intercooler for the supercharger. It takes coolant, it is nice and full, but what you'll want to really make sure is you want to start the truck, let it run. After about 30 seconds, that fluid should be violently moving. I will go ahead and start the truck and show you. So let me grab my keys. We'll start this thing up and I will show you what it looks like when your intercooler fluid is moving the way it should. And the reason why you'll want to check this is because that tells you your intercooler pump is working and is operational. Very important for these, obviously. If your intercooler pump's not working, you will have crazy high temperatures, especially if you're getting into boost, and you can really hurt the truck. Super serious. Make sure the intercooler pump is working. So let's go ahead and start the truck. Always give it a second, let the pump prime, wait till the chiming's done. There we go. Fire it up. Give it a second to start. It should kick on after about 30 seconds to a minute. There you go. You can see all of a sudden all these bubbles started and the fluid's moving. That's good. You can take your cap off, it's not hot. So, don't be afraid to take the cap off. It's not super hot like radiator fluid or anything like that. Just make sure the fluid is clearly moving, the pump is clearly working and doing what it should do. And while the truck is running, you can check your trans fluid. Always check the trans fluid when the truck is running. But yeah, so make sure that intercooler pump is working. Ooh, truck sounds so good. Love it. Seriously, has not gotten old yet. I have been enjoying driving this thing the last 2 weeks. It has been so nice being back in the Lightning game. Man, let me tell you, I've just been like a kid in the candy store with this thing. But anyways, fluids. Most importantly, make sure that intercooler fluid is moving, circulating. You'll see a ton of bubbles from the outside. You can open it, make sure it looks like it's circulating and moving around in the tank. And if it is, you're good to go and your intercooler pump works. Really important for these. Keep an eye on your intercooler fluid. Every once in a while, make sure it's still moving, still flowing. Intercooler pump can make or break your entire engine. If your intake temps get too hot, not good. So that's number 4. All right, so that brings us to number 5. This is kind of the biggest and most broadest category, to be honest, but mods. And especially with these trucks, there's a lot of specific things you'll want to look for and ask when it comes to mods. The first thing I would start with is the supercharger pulleys. How much boost is this thing running? Is it stock boost or is it not stock boost? A good way to tell, this has a bigger upper pulley, but the upper pulley should be about 2.9 inches in diameter. It's pretty easy to spot if it's not stock. For example, let me show you my other blower. This is my other Eaton, and this is an aftermarket pulley. You can see it's got a hub that bolts on. You can switch out the size of the pulley. That is not stock. A stock pulley will look more like this. This is a bigger than stock pulley, but it'll look more like this. It'll just have, a hole in the middle where it bolts to the blower. That's probably a stock pulley. If you look down there, I don't know if you can see it. I'll just put a picture up on the screen what a stock Lightning pulley looks like for the crank, for the lower pulley. Put a picture on the screen for that, and I will show you an aftermarket pulley and what that looks like. This is my huge parts cabinet of all my stock Lightning parts. I have everything that I've ever done to the truck. I've kept every stock part, put it in this cabinet. I have stuff over here, stuff in those boxes, stock parts literally everywhere. I could turn that black FX4 into a Lightning at this point, which might be coming soon for some little foreshadowing. But this is an aftermarket pulley. So if you see a hub with a pulley like this bolted on, it is not stock. This is an aftermarket pulley. This happens to be a 10-pound lower pulley. This is when I was running my max effort Eaton setup. I was running a 4-pound lower with the GT500 swap TVS that I had on there, but this is 10-pound lower pulley. But anyways, this is what an aftermarket lower pulley will look like. So if you see something like this with the belt going around it, that is not stock. It has a pulley. That's not the end of the world, but if it does have a pulley, you have some more questions you need to ask and some further digging to do. If it has an aftermarket pulley, doesn't have a stock MAF, that's not a good sign. Whenever you do a pulley swap, you generally want to upgrade your MAF. Stock MAF is not enough for aftermarket pulleys. Generally, I was maxing out my 90 millimeter MAF with just a 5-pound lower pulley. So generally when you do a pulley swap, you want to follow up and do a MAF swap as well. I might have one to show you. This is my JLP setup. Let me dig it out from up here. That is an SCT BA2600 MAF. It's an aftermarket MAF. So you want to make sure if it has pulleys that the MAF has also been upgraded. If not, at the very least, hopefully they have a 90 millimeter MAF with a Diablo Mafia range extender that extends the range that the MAF can read. So it gives you a little bit of cushion. You can kind of get away with that. But if it has the stock MAF with no extender, and definitely the earlier years, the 99 2000s had a 80 millimeter MAF. If it has a pulley upgrade on the stock MAF and it's an earlier year truck, definitely not good. Not a good sign. Also, hopefully it's been tuned for the pulley swap. Ask, how was this tuned? What did you use? Who tuned the truck? All very important questions. Do research on that tuner. Make sure they have a good rep. A tune will make or break these trucks for sure. And if it has been running with a subpar tune for, God knows how long, probably not a great deal. So you can do a lot of damage with a bad tune. Some other things to ask and look for: has the supercharger ever been pulled off? And has the intercooler ever been cleaned? Very critical on these trucks. Basically, I got a setup I can show you over here. The supercharger is sitting on top of your turkey pan. That's this guy here, your intake manifold. And the intercooler sits underneath the supercharger. You can see it right there. And over time, the PCV system on the PCV systems on these trucks puts oil back into the intake track. That oil gets through the blower into the intercooler and just gets caked up. It's not able to breathe correctly, not able to cool correctly, and it just gets really nasty. So at some point, you want to hope that they took that blower off and cleaned that intercooler. And if they don't recall when it's ever been done, if they never have personally, it's something you're going to want to do as soon as you get the truck. Very important, often overlooked, critical maintenance on these trucks. Gotta clean the intercooler. While you're doing it, you can do the turkey pan delete. I can go ahead and show you for reference what that is. Good thing I got all these extra parts sitting over here. All right, so I went ahead and grabbed my intake manifold and put it up here so you can see it easier. This is looking from the front. The turkey pan delete is where you take the stock PCV system, has an elbow coming from this port here. This is the very bottom of your intake manifold. It has an elbow that comes up with a hose that comes up into your PCV system. You'll have a T where it tees in, a line going to your PCV valve and a line going to your plenum. What you'll want to do, delete it. You put a 3/8 MPT plug in your intake manifold. It's obviously way easier to do this with the blower off because it is way back there. But you'll plug that so it's sealed up and you'll just run one line from your PCV to a catch can to plenum. You can see that's been done on this truck right here. You can see my catch can here. I have one line coming up from the valve cover, then one line going to your plenum. That just gets rid of the turkey pan line altogether. That goes way back there behind to your intake manifold, gets rid of it altogether. It is a problem spot for vacuum leaks. If you have a vacuum leak on your truck, 90% chance if you never replace that, that's what it is. They always go bad, they dry rot, they leak. It's just a bad spot. Better to just delete it. So, has that been done? and just any other things. Just get all the information you can about the truck. But the first thing I always look for, pulleys, are they stock? If not, is the map stock? If it is, why? Has it been tuned? By who? With what? Just ask questions. But yeah, I think that about does it for this video, guys. If I missed anything major that's Lightning specific, drop it down in the comments below. Comment that down below. That way whoever finds the video can still use it as a resource, can look through the comments, see your guys' input as well. And plus it really helps with engagement, but I think that'd be really cool. This could just be a one-stop shop resource. So comment down below what I've missed. I think I covered most of the basic things to ensure that you get a solid truck. You know, that hopefully this helps you out if you're looking for your first Lightning, or maybe you just bought your Lightning and you want to look it over. This helps you out. If you're an OG to the Lightning game, maybe you pick something else up, but if not, I appreciate you staying for the video anyways, guys. Make sure you drop a like on the videos. Plenty more to come, obviously. Still doing a property tour. That's coming soon. A lot of you guys were interested in that. Shop stuff coming soon. As soon as I finish securing the funding for that. We're still working on a couple things in the house as well. You know, a lot of stuff going on. I plan on doing, you know, full property house tour and stuff like that at some point. But we are just busy bees last couple months, to say the least. But things are finally settling down, and I'm finally able to just make some content and kind of normalize again. It has not been a normal last few months. Been very busy. But anyways, guys, I am done yapping your ears off for today. So I will see you in the next video. Later.